Just got it.
Okay, well, to start off with, nice to see you. Could you do me the favor of saying your name for me and where you are?
Thanks. My name is Mokete Mahapa. I am connecting with you from the Republic of South Africa, specifically in Pretoria.
Okay. And as you may know, the first question is, who are you? And that can be anything as you are right now, qualities, values, some of those fundamental things that you feel identify or define you in some way.
Sure. Yeah. What a question. Who am I? I'm a human being, product of men and women, specifically from the village that I grew up in. Because what makes sense for me now, it's going back and drawing a lot of values from that specific village. Small village, household with people that really have connections with one another, either DNA wise or just societal. And one thing that connects me with those people, and I feel that I owe my being to them, is the fact that as a child growing up there, you belonged to each and every person that was older than you, because they knew that their responsibility was making sure that you grow up being responsible, you grow up being respectful, you grow up knowing that your neighbor is actually your responsibility, and you grow up feeling the love, without them saying, I love you, but you feel it, and you know that you have no doubt in your mind that they don't love you. You know that they love you. So the love was shared equally. And you grow up having to experience what it feels for you to have and share what you have with everyone else. So all that, they end up grooming me to be the woman that I am. And as I transitioned into the city life, I always look back and say, wow, things become easier for me to be patient, to show respect, to treat people with dignity, to also take care of myself and the others around me, and to also be more supportive, especially for the people that need me. And perhaps that's what made me choose the career that I found myself in, or the career chose me. To say I find comfort and satisfaction when I work with people, all from different backgrounds. So it becomes easier. And besides, the general people that in that particular village, I'm from a very large family, my own family, my mom and dad, and my siblings. And those are the people that actually grounded me and made me who I am.
When you say very large family, how large?
From my mom and dad, there were 6 of us. But at any given point in time when I was growing up, there was 13 of us.
Okay.
So, like my mom, I think she took all this taking care of other people further, because as much as she gave birth to 6 children, whenever she felt that someone needed more warmth and comfort and other things that she could offer, she will bring them into our home. and that person will become our brother or our sister. We grew up with so many of our brothers and sisters that were not born from my parents. And it was normal for us. It was okay. Although most of us in the main, we went to boarding school. When you come back to your room, there's somebody in your room, in your bed. I'm like, hi, sister.
You have a new sister.
Yeah, I have a new sister. Hello. And yeah, we grew up like that. Now we can't even separate each other as grown women and men. We still treat each other as sisters and brothers. And now that they have kids, we have kids. Our kids have also connected, and some of them, the young ones, can't even make the difference because they know them as their aunts and uncles. So that's make me who I am. So I think that also taught me to be more tolerant, and be more open to sharing my space with other people. I always tell people I have one child, but at any given point during school holidays, my house is full. And because it's a norm, it's how I learned to do this life thing and treating everyone as part of family, regardless of whether they share DNA with me or not. So yeah, that's what I think. I can just share that with the
And
world.
out of that background, out of that upbringing from that space, what have become your values? Because I love that you said if someone needed comfort and care, that's a really, for me, that's I'm an only child product of Western individualism. So when you say this, very different structure, very different baseline.
Yeah, I think it's the value of just sharing your being. And I think I've learned now that I know what I know, that also sharing the energy becomes important for me. And you are very much aware the energy that you bring into the room, because then you are thinking about other people as well in the process. So then that teaches you what to say, how to say it, and when to say it, which becomes important. And because sometimes you listen to the conversations and you say, okay, I don't think this is the right time for me to say what is inside. An opportunity will come in for me to say it so that I say it correctly, so that it lands softly, and it lands in such a way that it will have impact on the person, a positive impact. Sometimes, the value of not saying something because you know what it will probably bring.
I learned that was called prudence, and I had to learn that in my mid-20s in therapy.
Yes. It's something that, I was at a dinner on Saturday with most of my friends, and one lady said to me, "You've been very quiet lately. Are you okay?" And I just said to her, "I'm very intentional about it. Don't worry. All is well. When the time is right for me to say things, I would definitely say so. Don't worry too much about my silence. It's necessary at this point in time." And she said, "Okay, I understand. Yeah, let's move on."
And this might be an odd question, but what is that tipping point for you? What are those things where you think, I need to speak, I need to say something? I mean, you said when it will have a positive impact, but Like, is there something that will not let you stay silent?
Yeah, it sometimes come. You see, when you are in a group setting and you feel that somebody is not coming in with a contribution of unity and support and growth,
Mm,
and it builds up in you, like, I need to say something.
mm,
Two warnings, and I'll let it all out.
okay.
Obviously, it would be nice at that time
Hmm.
because then I'll be pinched to an extent that it will have to come out however way.
Hmm.
Because at the same time, I'm looking at the person that needed the impact at that time. And my thinking is the protection around that person,
Mm,
not the one that is pinching all of us and nobody's saying anything. And I will definitely go for that person.
mm,
That that's how it normally unfolds.
mhm,
I would go for that person and at the same time protecting the other one or a group of people in many
mhm,
instances, you know.
mm,
It does happen a lot. But yeah, it I'll be very much aware
mhm,
at that time. But one thing I will not have control of is how to use the language,
mm,
use whatever language. And I must say, I think two incidents that I can think of, I've lost two people as potential friends or building relations with them. And I'm okay with it.
mhm,
If I need to lose two people to make sure that there's unity, there's growth, there's support and nurturing in the process, I'm okay to lose these two people.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, it still hurts, but yes. Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Hmm. So in this history, in this collective, in your world, who would you say in particular has been an influence on you and how?
Definitely my mom
Mm-hmm.
and my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I always say to people, if I can just be half the woman that my mother was, I'd be very happy. My mother, um, she did not go to school or did not have a formal education. However, she made sure that education and empowering ourselves as the kids that she was raising become very important. That there was no two way about it. It was a must in our household
Mm-hmm.
to go to school, to do other things that are education related. And I think she was very intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
But over and above that, on the values that she strongly believed in, she did not compromise.
Mm-hmm.
In our household, as many as we were, there was a 6 o'clock prayer in the evening. We took turns to read the Bible because we are Christians. And there was some preparation because then other community members started joining us because they knew that in that household, they gather around and pray every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you put up the candles, you make sure that the hymn books are there, you make sure that the Bible, the verse for that day, you do that preparation if it's your week, because we used to take turns per week.
Mm-hmm.
We do the Bible studies, we share. Then that taught us to read fluently very early, at a very young age. Because she could, I don't think she could read fluently, but she knew the Bible
Mm-hmm.
because you know she
Mm-hmm.
was a staunch Catholic, going to church
Mm-hmm.
every other day.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew the verses from her head,
That's
and
a really good trick. Stick with what you know.
you know
Mm-hmm.
And she was very consistent, and she didn't accept any stories. If you come up, I mean, we're playful. We wanted to play until late in the streets because it's nice out there. But we knew
Mm-hmm.
that this time we need to be at home. And now that I'm talking about it, I can't even remember how we knew that it was time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time we did not miss that particular time. And another thing that she was very consistent about was taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your morning bath, eating breakfast. She was very big on that one. Like whether you are late for school because you woke up late, you're going to miss the breakfast in our household was a must.
Mm.
You are going to
You will have
eat
time for breakfast. Mm-hmm.
you will have time to eat breakfast before you walk to school. Very, very strict on that one. And she also, we took turns in cleaning. It's something when you talk about it, you think it's small, but we had sections where we cleaned,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and washing dishes. Boys and girls didn't matter. I don't know where you from. If you had the patio, we call it the stoop. The side, the stoop, and we used to put a red polish.
Mm-hmm.
It must always be shiny.
Okay. No, I did not have
Yeah,
to polish stoops or
we
porches. No.
we had to polish that stoop, and it needed to shine every day.
Hmm.
So everyone had had their portion and making
When you get
sure that.
older, do you wonder if it actually had to, or if that was just a really good strategy to keep the kids occupied?
I think it was a strategy because my dad was this side. He was working in Johannesburg,
Mm-hmm.
and we were left with her. A lot of us with her in the villages. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, to think of it, it was a strategy to keep us, grounded and together, so
Mm-hmm.
that she manages easier with so many kids on her own. And yeah, she had a system, and she was sticking to her system,
Mm-hmm.
and we were not really allowed to question her system
Mm-hmm.
because she was very strict.
Mm.
uh, she had that authority to make us understand that this needed to be done in a particular way at a particular time. So
But you do not strike me as a person who I would describe as obedient and non-questioning. I mean, I know some of the people that you work with, that's why I say it. But where did you learn then to use these critical thinking and to question and not to just do what you were told to do at the time it was supposed to be done?
I think it dates back to that because I didn't like it that
Ah.
I did not have a so I thought, okay, if I didn't have a voice then because my mother was very strict, when she's not available, I think I need to question some of those things.
Hmm.
And I started doing it. It wasn't easy. It felt uncomfortable. But yeah, with time, when you are exposed and you see that, actually, this is easier than I thought it would be.
Mhm.
So then you start, introducing yourself to the world in this manner and start questioning, one, just to get clarity, but two, to challenge the system a bit in service of what you want to achieve.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so
Like,
I
excuse
think
me
over the years,
respectfully, why are we polishing the stoop?
exactly. Why do we need to
Mhm.
polish soup? Why don't we bring in the tiles and just mop it? and life would be much easier. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and it actually happened that way because she didn't want to do away with her Polish red stoop.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started working, I said, actually, there's ceramic tiles for outside that we can use. I said, no, I am going to fall with these tiles, very slippery and whatever. I said, no, we do have tiles that are non-slippery that we can put here.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. And I think as we were growing older and she had grandchildren like our kids, they started, because they were exposed more than we were. They started saying, no, Coco, which is a grandmother in my language.
Mm-hmm.
No, Coco, this is not how it's done. She became more lenient towards our kids than she was with us.
Mm-hmm.
And started opening up, which also helped me a bit to say, okay, perhaps this is how I need to also challenge some of these things. Get somebody who this person has a soft spot for and use them to influence whatever outcomes I need or I want to introduce, So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you mentioned your mother and your grandmother, and I am curious how you have come to understand yourself as a woman or within your gender or in femininity or whatever that part of your identity means to you.
With the influence from my grandmother and my mom, one thing about these two women, they were very close. And I learned that from them, which, yeah, something that I really admire about them. They will agree with each other in front of us, even though they had different views.
Mm.
Something I learned later because I would eavesdrop when they argue. Like,
Mm.
these two in front of us, they showed a united front,
Mhm.
but behind the scenes, they had different views
So some solidarity.
in solidarity. So it said to me, when you have a mission, for lack of a better word, you need to find your allies, the people that are in support of you, so that then you approach the opposites as a united front, so that you deliver the message, you influence it, the change, and then step back and then you look at each other and say, how did we do it? But anyway, I honestly don't believe in that. But for that purpose, I think it was necessary
Mm.
because I think in the work that we do, we find finding yourself fighting among each other, we will not get the results. I don't think we will not
What is the
influence.
work that we do at Who is We?
Um, the change management work
Mm.
here and the culture that we want to introduce of building relations
Mhm.
and connecting more for impactful change. You would need people that you will go and show a united front for that purpose.
Mhm.
And if there is anything in terms of whatever aspects of the work that you disagree upon, I think you can, in the background, deal with that so
Mhm.
that we do not confuse people
Mm.
that we are trying to assist when we intervene for change. You
Mm.
know, I think I take that from my mom and my grandmother.
Mhm.
But another thing is I need to believe, which is something that they had. Whatever that they believed in terms of values, and their own belief system. They lived it every day. It was not a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you saw my grandmother in church, you'll swear that she had met Jesus Christ because of how she looked,
Mm-hmm.
how she spoke, how she sang, how she would reprimand kids around her to concentrate and be in the moment and experience the church the way that she wanted or she believed that church should be experienced.
Mm.
And she was not apologetic about it. She had that belief, and the one thing that we always laugh about, my sisters and my aunts, her children, it's not wanting to back down and not to be a Catholic when we are with non-Catholic.
Mm.
We will be in the middle of prayer, she will jump in with her Catholicism
Mm.
because she strongly believes that that this is her belief system, this is herself, her
Mm-hmm.
authentic self, and she need not change it for anybody. She was very intentional about it. She did not compromise on that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, she was very giving. Sure. My granny was she had a little cafe, a shop where they were selling basic food like bread, milk, and stuff. And if there was a need for anybody, she would send one of us to go to the shop and just give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Profit was, she was not driven by profit. I don't think so. She was given by the heart of giving, which is something that we have not embodied because of our exposure to the city life and all that. Everything, it's mine, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my mother had that as well. She was just, sometimes we felt that she was just giving too much, giving herself too much, her time and material things. But yeah, she was. I think one thing I miss about the two women, um, it's their hearts, the giving of love, unconditional love and support,
Mm.
regardless of who you are, you know. And sometimes when you say to people, I'm unable to help you, I just find myself not being able to sleep at night
Mm.
because then it takes me back and say, how is it possible that my mom and my grand were able to do that and I'm working, I'm unable to do that? What is wrong with me? You know? But yeah, it's just some, and they would find time to attend all the events, all the funerals. If anybody needs support, somebody's sick, they will find time to visit them and send them their prayers in person and be with them, clean for them. It was something, it's something that I'm unable to do, and I'm questioning how was it possible for them to do it.
Mm-hmm. What kind of structure makes that possible or impossible? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think city life, capitalism might have something to do with that.
absolutely. I think
Mm.
so.
Mm.
Because I come to work and then I go back and I don't want to engage in any sort of conversation or interaction with anybody. I just want to lie down and just be with myself. Yeah.
Mm.
And Yeah.
So you are giving, but it's draining.
And with that, when one does it the way I do it, there comes a point where your body signal to you, say, hey, you can't. There's nothing there. There's nothing left for you to give. And when you withdraw, the feeling inside of you of disappointment comes in, and it occupies your space so much that you start questioning. But the reality is it even possible?
I don't know.
But then not over the years, just last year after I joined this program, Gestalt, then I remember I was talking to my coach saying, actually, if there's nothing in me, then there's nothing for me to give. I need to be aware of what is inside of me for me to be able to give. And I need to listen to myself more, because there's more that is there, or there's more for me to connect with, so that I know how much to give and what to give. Yeah. And it's a journey. It's a journey that I'm on now, with more awareness. Hence I said earlier that sometimes I just keep quiet and say, this is not the time for me to offer anything. When the time is right, I'll say it, and I'll say it correctly.
Well, as I'm hearing you, I'm just imagining decontextualizing some of these skills that you have. I mean, this generosity, this ability to give. But if there's a system that monetizes that, and you can give and you can give your skills, and that will be your job, it's not the same for the person who's doing the giving as doing the giving in a community where the rewards and the cycle is built in. It's the giving and receiving. But if you decontextualize that and you're just producing this giving, it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
That sounds really horrible. So
it does. It sounds horrible, because I think with me having been exposed to the two worlds, I found myself at the crossroad where I needed to make a decision for myself, to say, now you're worn out. What do you need to do for yourself, so that you are experienced much more nicely than how you are feeling at the moment? Len, like you said, take a step back and say, that system worked for the two wonderful ladies. What do I need to take from them that is relevant to my own reality, so that then it works for me and it works for everybody else?
So what do you do? Where this is, there's a few other parts of you personally that I'm curious about, but where does this, professional identity, that this is now a set of skills, these are some of your qualities, what do you do with these? Like, what is your purpose, or what is your job?
Heather, I find myself having to bring in most of my personal levels into the professional skills. Because I think, fortunately for me, the work that I do over and above the technical skills that I need and I believe I have, the interpersonal relations and all the generosity and being there for people become an added bonus for me to be able to relate more with people, coupled with the technical skills, because I work in an environment where people's lives or people's behavior, our mindset need to be taken care of so that there's a shift. So I always tap back into my roots, where I grew up, where my mom, my grandmother, my sisters, my uncles, my aunts, those soft skills, if I may say, and the values and the beliefs come into. And for me, having grown up in that environment, they come naturally. Don't have to stress about it. The only stress is to just create those parameters to say this is a professional environment. You can't just open your door and let everybody come in, and you can't just make yourself too available, because then you will exhaust yourself and you will lose some credibility, because then the reality is that you work with people. Some will take advantage of you. Some will, want to get away with things that they would not normally get away with in a professional place. So you need to be mindful of that. You need to be very much aware of that, and you need to put it out there so that they understand that this is the parameters. You set it up by the way you talk, by the way you engage, by the way. Sometimes when needs be, you say it. Say, I think overstepped your mark here. Next time, I think you need to be more careful around this particular area. Yeah.
And so where did Gestalt come into all of these processes for you? What is your connection to this? How do you use it?
Yeah. When I was introduced to Gestalt, everything just made sense from the word go, and Gestalt helped me to be more aware and confirm for me that what I was doing and who I am in the system, it needs more connection with myself. It needs more awareness, and it needs more intentions. And I need to bring forward more of the values that I believe in, and make meaningful relations so that I influence change. And what made me even more excited about Gestalt was the levels at which you need to intervene. At the individual level, you know what to do and what not to do. At the group level and at the community level, organization-wide. And I remember in one of the sessions giving feedback of where I am, talking more about my personal journey than the professional one, because that's where it made even more sense. Now that I think as a family, like I said, I come from a very large family, but over the years you lose people because of the connectedness. When I lost my younger brother, when I lost my, in the space of 5 years, I think I lost about 5 people,
Mm.
close. And because of the way we were raised, I don't remember us going through the healing process together as a family.
Mm.
And I think what Gestalt did for me, it took me back and reconnected me with the pain that I went through, and I passed it without dealing with that pain and staying there and starting the healing process for me.
Mm.
And I'm sure they my dearest colleagues that are with me on this Gestalt journey, they can confirm this, that I was crying so much in the sessions because I was more connected with my own realities and the things that I have not dealt with, so that to open that space for me to be able to move forward
Mm.
with the intention of just grounding myself and showing up as
So
the
did
authentic.
did this come up for you? Because I don't know in what context you learned Gestalt, as a facilitator, as a development organizational consultant, or was this, therapy, like personal process, or what was the context? Because I think it's beautiful. My understanding is that it's coming from a consulting systems work, but that it takes you back to you. It's like, surprise.
It came from, I joined in as wanting to facilitate,
Hmm.
and the modules about getting more in touch with yourself.
Hmm.
I think that's when it took me back there.
Hmm. So the self as
The
instrument.
self-awareness and the
Hmm.
introspection, and showing up as authentic as possible, so that when you facilitate, people experience you, and you give people that experience. But if, for instance, like me, who still had the pain that I was carrying as a Gestalt facilitator, I wasn't going to be able to give people that experience with so much pain that I was carrying without me
No, you
noticing.
can't just keep things going. You can't.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to let go of that, and I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. And I was just so surprised with myself that I was even able to do that, because I mean, with us, when you are arranging a funeral, the last thing that you want to think about is sit down and cry. There's just so many logistics that you need to do. And after that, life must go on. You need to go back to work and start working. And
Mhm.
that's what I was doing without getting in touch with my own emotions and where I am at emotionally.
Mm.
And I think when I started with Gestalt and just connecting with people and connecting with myself, specifically myself, I realized that there's a lot of work for myself to deal with myself.
Mhm.
And I'm glad I did, because I'm sure had we had this interview the beginning of this year, I should be crying by now.
Mm.
But yeah, the pain is still there, but it's not that painful, because I'm aware of the healing that has taken place. And that's the work of Gestalt.
Mm. Do you feel like you are part of a Gestalt community? Like, does that mean anything to you on a significant level?
It does. It does. I feel like, when you are suffocating and you want to reach out for oxygen,
Hmm.
that's what Gestalt did for me.
Mm.
If I don't connect with the Gestaltists in a while, I feel like it doesn't feel like I'm breathing.
Mm.
So I need to connect with them more. Fortunately for us here in Pretoria, we are intentional about our own connection
Mm-hmm.
with the Gestaltists. We go out a lot. If it's not possible, we connect online. And it's always delightful to just connect with the humans of Gestalt, like you would coin it.
I enjoy it
Yeah.
personally. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if people understand, but yeah, I'm always looking forward. It can be at any time of the day. I'm
Mhm.
always excited to connect with people that speak the same language, that feel the way I feel, that, you know, connect with the energy, will come in and say, oh, I feel so tired. And
Well, that
people
was
will
you
understand.
before we started. You said, I'm coming from all of these meetings, but I have time for this.
Yes. I will never miss an opportunity where I'm meeting with my fellow Gestalters. I don't think that will be possible because it feels like there's an injection of life when you
Mm.
connect with a Gestaltist. And most of the time, it's the richness of the conversations that
Mhm.
come through. Whether we planned it or not, it always finds its way into the space.
Mm.
And I love that about Gestalt. Um, we always have something to share,
Mhm.
be it an event, be it a feeling, be it a sense, and it makes sense for me. And I love that about Gestalt.
Mm.
And I, 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 I offer the same to my family, my
Mhm.
friends. And I always get excited when I do that because it's intentional from my side. And you look at them like, I just did my magic there without
Mhm.
you realizing. And it, you know, it just warms my heart when I do that and I feel that they appreciate it. So
Mm.
yeah, like I said last week, I said I owe my rebirth to the teachings of Gestalt. I feel like
Mm.
this
That
is,
sounds almost a little sacrilegious to your mom and your grandma and the church. Do you mix that yourself? Like,
I do that.
is
I do that.
that okay?
I think, yeah, that experience with my grandmother and my mom, I think it lives in me.
Hmm.
So it just
Hmm.
comes, I don't even think about it.
Hmm.
It's just part of who I am.
Mm. But it's okay to be reborn in a different way too. Okay.
Definitely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask, I don't know where, these two words take you or what meaning you give them, but I'm really curious how you understand and experience power and privilege in your life.
Hmm. Ooh, I think in South Africa, power and privilege, sure, Heather. It's quite, it's a bit painful
It's
when you
loaded.
think about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, especially where where you were when you were exposed to that, and one would think you don't have power and privilege when you are in the villages because there's this thing of thinking that we all share equally in that part of the world, and that is not, because in the villages you've got the traditional leaders that have power, and it comes with privileges for them. And when you are on this side, sure, then the experience it's something else. The opportunities, the economic opportunities, the opportunities even to speak in that part of the world, they come with power. The privilege to be exposed to better schools, better opportunities, they come with the power and the privilege. And when you move to the big cities, it's just so glaring, because then we fight for opportunities. But when you are given an opportunity to be in power, one thing that I've realized or had to experience is that then you forget about the other people that were with you when you did not have the same opportunity and privileges.
Mm.
And that's what makes it sad, And you see it also in churches.
Mm-hmm.
Say, the power to ascend into the podium, and you are given opportunity to teach the word of God. You tend to look down upon instead of giving hope in your teachings and providing opportunities for people to grow spiritually and otherwise. So, power and privilege. There's work to be done there by the leaders or those who are in power. And I think,
how do you understand leadership? What is that? Because I can hear that the difference between, having power as a leader and using it over someone versus an empowering kind of leadership.
Leadership, yeah. In this instance, I think the power for me goes with the position.
Mm-hmm.
And it's normally attached to the position of leadership. But leadership on its own, I can explain it in such a way that wherever you are given an opportunity to lead, it does not matter whether you have the position or not. I don't know if it's making sense. But if you are at a lower level in terms of position, you can still have a leadership role in that position and influence change. But the power part of it is those with the decision making that affect the masses. That's where the power lies.
So power and influence are different.
Power and influence, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But with leadership, you can lead a youth group, you can lead a small project and still be impactful. But then, sure, that power here. Yeah, for me, the experience, like the two examples I've given you of those that are in powerful positions, then they tend to lean more towards non-empowering. And there's an element of unfairness and oppression and all that. Yes, and I'm aware that I'm making a general statement because we have people in power that are more considerate and generous and supportive and all that, we do have that.
Mhm.
And if those can multiply, I think we, these two different worlds will change drastically, and the impact will be made.
Mm.
I mean, where I come from now, we still do not have the sanitation system after how many years now
Mhm.
of, of, of people that we have put in power.
Mm.
We still don't have. And then it creates that creates classes where those that can afford to put it up for themselves, they do it. But
Mm.
then you have people who need to wake up at night and go outside, you know,
Mm.
to have access to that. And I don't think in 2023 it's something that can be acceptable or we can celebrate.
Mhm.
There's more to be done in that area. And I'm just making that as an example because I feel it when I go back home to the village during festive seasons and all that. And as much as there's a lot that has changed since I grew up, but there's more that could be done.
Mhm.
There's definitely more that could be done. They still need to look at the road system when you get there. Like it's now rainy seasons.
Mhm.
If it continues to rain, I might not even be able to make it home because
Mhm.
then my car will not get to where I need to be. And you have people, you have someone who is given an opportunity to influence those with budget and decision-making powers to put up a clinic for the elderly and the children. We still need to take 2, 3 taxis to have access to a normal clinic.
Mhm.
We don't have it in the village that I'm staying. The nearest one is about what 20 kilometers away.
Mm.
20 kilometers at night. Those without cars, those without any mode of transport, will have to bathe until the sunrise
Mhm.
for them to be able to access that.
Mhm.
And that's the dynamic of power and influence. You know,
Mhm. Yeah, it's, I
unfortunately.
mean, I'm saying, thinking of, villages around me in Mexico, thinking of the unequal distribution of resources
Yeah.
in every country that I've ever experienced. It's, and I go back to that, what you said of, the difficulty of saying, I can't help you. And it's like, wait a minute, actually, the resources are here. There are ways, but it gets stuck on this human inability, a collective structural inability to figure out how to have the will to
Yeah.
release it, to balance things out. And it's like holding
Yeah.
all of the water on this side when it would naturally settle in a balanced way.
Yeah. When you were talking about that, I got reminded of how the generation of my mom and dad and the ones before them sat down and found a system and an approach to build a school, actually 2 schools
Mhm.
in that particular village. And that generation, from what I heard from my dad and his friends and the other elderly people in that village, was they sat down and said every household, when you get paid, we need something like 20 Rand at the time per household, so that then your child can go to school there, primary school there. And then after that, when it was set up, then the building is there the way they wanted it. They then engaged the Department of Education to say, resource us with teachers and other things, because the building is already there. And they move over and above the primary school to a high school. To say, now that we've taken the young ones into the system of schooling at the primary level, we need them to transition into a high school. And they continued with the same approach of collecting money and being responsible with the collections, and respecting that people put aside a lot of other priorities and prioritize this, and make sure that they were honest enough and frank enough and open and transparent with the collections, and ensured that this school is built and they have a high school. And the neighboring villages started using that. And the system said, if you are coming from a neighboring village, you will pay a month-to-month school fees. But if you're from the village,
you've already paid.
Just go to school.
And that's romanticized, and we could have a whole other conversation about this, about the value of, you know, community-led development, but also how it should not be necessary to take those resources to do things which are already supposed to be taken care of by the adults. Anyways, so I think, you know, just I'm curious if there's any other part of yourself that you want to speak to, that you would like to bring, anything else that feels important to you. Or if you could say where you see yourself going, if there is a particular next movement or piece of interest or direction that you're following.
My next move, Heather, is just growing in this space of Gestalt. I'm aware of where I am at, and I have my own wish of just widening up my own scope to grow. It's a new and exciting journey for me. And I'm excited about opening myself up even more, so that I let it in, and it lands in such a way that I'm comfortable in growing. So it's just growth, and just because I've realized that there's more. There's definitely more that I want to take in, so that I'm able to offer it to the people, especially as a facilitator. And my coach would be happy to hear this, and perhaps maybe look into coaching. Because I saw a correlation. I felt the connection between the coaching and the Gestalt work. But for now, it's just me opening myself up for growth, really, just to put it generally, and just enjoying the journey. It's a beautiful journey, I must say. I attended the online webinar with Jeremy and others, and it's just so, it felt like this much more. I didn't want to exit that webinar, and excitement has just grown for me. So yeah,
All
and
right.
connecting with you today was like, wow, okay, I'm loving this.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I am very curious to see where your growing takes you and then what you end up doing to the world with that. But yeah. Is it okay if we leave this one here for now, though?
I think it's okay. I
Okay.
think I'm fulfilled and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you.